VBuzz with Sharita and myself, Jay. Walia. Now, every year since 2008, for 1 hour on one night, usually at the end of March, the globe goes dark in support of Earth Hour. This worldwide movement for the planet, organized by the Worldwide Fund for Nature, better known as WWF, began first in 2007 as a lights-off event in Australia, and pretty soon, other nations followed suit. Last year, over 70,000 Earth Hour events checked into digital maps online, and we want to get more people on board with the campaign. And while you're at it, why not challenge yourself to live green for a whole month? Yep, you heard that right. The EcoKnights, together with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment and their other partners, are bringing you Eco Month, a platform for Malaysians to engage and participate in various activities to master the arts of sustainable living for a whole month. We sit down now with Fadli Bakhtiar, the Programme Director of EcoKnights, to find out more. Welcome back to VBuzz, Fadli.
Thank you, Jay, for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's start off by talking about Earth Hour a little bit. Now,
yes,
millions of people, businesses and landmarks switch off their lights for 1 hour to show their commitment to the Earth. Why is this a global event, and why should Malaysians be a part of it?
Well, I think the global movement for environment started, I think I have mentioned in the previous interviews, mainly about less than 20 years ago. And especially in Malaysia, it started about 10 years when it gets really hyped up, and more people are aware of it. And for Malaysia, I think it's just natural for Malaysia, because we are one of the leaders in at least in to promote sustainable living and our of course our government's agenda to reduce the emission by 2020. So it's just natural, and I think it's something that is very family friendly, easy for people to understand. I think the most difficult for any kind of awareness is to get into the entry point, where people start to ask, like, why are you doing this? What is the significance? So this is one of the very simple way to get more people to talk about it, and a lot of people are doing it. Yeah,
it piques the curiosity of people. You know, kids asking like, why do you do this and why you do that?
Right.
I think engaging them is a very big part of it as well. But in most countries, of course, you know, Earth Hour campaigns, you know, it's a combined effort, you know, by so many different people itself coming together for one cause. You know, what are some of the efforts or some of the initiatives that are undertaken in Malaysia?
Well, I know there's plenty, but for this year, what I know is there are at Penang and Melaka are doing the night walk in their respective states, so to get the public to come and walk at night, and in a way to promote this Earth Hour and conservation of the nature. For EcoKnights as well, we have, as you mentioned earlier, we are partnering with Publica to run the Eco Month in conjunction with the Earth Hour. Another thing that we just recently partnered with University Malaysia Perlis, UNEMA, where because we can't be there because we have another event in KL, so they are running their Earth Hour activities in the university, and we support them by giving them some films for them to screen during the event. So I think this is one of the ways where we can reach out to more people, more groups doing their own activities in the way we can, which is through films, which is one of our main expertise.
Very nice. Now, a lot of people talk about, you know, what the impact is going to be on the entire world if we don't start living, you know, a little bit more green. But here in Malaysia, what would be the worst case scenario if, you know, Malaysians were not to live a more sustainable life?
Well, one of the most important resources for us is our nature. I mean, we are one of the 12 countries, mega diverse countries, and our forests and all that. This is one of our treasured, items. You know, so if you don't start to live more sustainably, if you don't care about what's going to happen if there's unsustainable development, so eventually we will run out of forests, and that will, of course, as you know, grow into many other problems.
Now, I'm sure, a lot of us learnt this in school, what sustainable living is out there, but just to refresh everyone's memory, any of our audience wondering, we keep mentioning sustainable living, but what exactly is sustainable living?
Well, sustainable living is, there are a lot of terms, even in the official terms and the way people understand, but for us, what is sustainable is to use the resources as what we need, and there's enough for the next generation to continue living. So it's basically just to use what you need. Right?
It's just enough for you, but
enough for you too,
no
and
greed
there's
in it.
also enough for the coming generations.
That brings me to a very memorable quote by Mahatma Gandhi. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed.
Yeah, that is one of the most powerful and so relatable to sustainable living, if you look at it,
I think that's a great way of putting it, actually, because more often than not, people think like, even, so with Earth Hour itself, people often think about, okay, climate change, Earth Hour is here, it's the month of March, right? And then how do we get people to do more, or what can people do beyond just switching off the lights?
You know what, it's really interesting. I just calculated, if you turn off your electricity for an hour, that means 1 hour out of 24 hours, that's less than 5% of your electricity. So it's okay, 5% a day, but if you just do it once a year, it's probably 0.0001%. This is pretty much insignificant, right? So how can this event or this campaign become a more relevant to your daily living? So one of the ways that you can do is to start it from home, where you can start with changing some of your home appliances to use the 5-star label, which is the eco-friendly label. Is widely available now in most of the retailers. I myself, in my home, I change all my light bulbs to the LED light bulbs. You can use it longer. It's slightly more expensive because of the technology, but it lasts, probably 10 years, and it uses probably like 20% of the normal light bulbs.
Wow, that's a...
So it's little changes.
Little change,
itself.
because when you do all these little change, eventually they will work for you. You know what I mean? So you change it once, and then it will generate itself for you.
I think when people think little changes, it goes back to that saying that sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit sort of thing. It's like little changes, lifestyle changes, and next thing it becomes a habit.
Yeah, I agree with you, because this I remember that sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit is from the BSN or from the menabung, right? Menabung. It's a similar concept with sustainable living. When you conserve a little bit, not only you can conserve the environment, you can also save money.
And
right? Sikit-sikit lama-lama.
Exactly.
Not only are you doing all these, little things and small changes at home, you've also kicked off the Eco Month campaign. Can you tell us what this is all about?
Well, Eco Month campaign is the campaign that we have done with Publica for a few years already. If I'm not mistaken, it's 4 years in a row, where we partner with Publica and obviously more other partners to educate the public with the sustainable living concept with various activities. Right? One of the goals for the Eco Month, the component is green market. Is recent, because to promote responsible consumerism, to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that was announced in late 2015. So one of the goals, Goal 12, is responsible consumption and production, where we look into how the citizens, the world citizens, global and local citizens, can find new ways to be more responsible in the way they consume and the way companies or organizations or corporations produce.
And what are some of these ways, actually, more responsible ways to consume?
Well, it goes a lot. I think in the earlier segment you mentioned about water, right? One of the invention of this company with water. You know that there's only less than 3% of water that is drinkable on Earth.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, and
scary.
2.5% are all stored in the
the ice
Arctic
caps,
glaciers and all that. So that leaves us with probably like 1% or less of water that is drinkable. So we depend a lot on treatment water and all that. So if you don't consume it properly, it is estimated that in 2050, by 2050, we will go into water crisis, like global water crisis. So
this is all very scary stuff, and you know, anytime you know I don't have water at home, or you know it gets cut off, you're reminded of just how important it is, and that's why it's so important for everyone to start living, you know, living greener.
Yes.
And on that regard, living a little bit more eco-friendly has been said to be a little bit more expensive at times. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I agree to a certain extent, mainly because these companies who produce, it takes a longer time for them to produce the product. It's similar to food. It used to be, say, like chicken used to be bred or grown in about 3 months, 90 days. And then now, it's gone up to 28 days.
Produced,
So the organic ones will not use any kind of hormones and all that. So it will take a natural process for it to grow.
And therefore, a little longer you got to wait.
Longer, and then because these are all small companies who try to break into the bigger mass market. Of course, you know, the chain, the production lines and all that is... You can't compete with them. So that is why I think it's more expensive. But if we have demand, hopefully, and there's now innovation, I'm sure you're going to talk about more innovation after this, is how to move forward to retain back or to reduce back whatever that we have overused, and how we have been so convenient of consume.
We've taken it for granted.
I agree. I mean, I too. I have to. I'm guilty. Partly guilty. That's why we're doing this, so that we can learn more about. We can learn back. How was it back then? How do people actually eat things? What kind of stuff that they purchase? What do you need? What you don't need? And
speaking of that, you're now working with Pop Tani. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So EcoKnights is one of a partner with Pop Tani. The office is in our office as well. We share office, and now we are growing our own food at home in our office. So we grow our vegetables and our fish. So now we have harvested, in fact, many times already, a lot of different vegetables and also fish. The idea is we want to create a farm in every home. The ideal is to have a farm in every home. So imagine if you have your own farm, a family of 4 can sustain themselves a year without having to purchase vegetables and fish lah. Because chicken, of course, you have to buy unless you have space to grow your chicken. So imagine if you can reduce that. Maybe not that much, but the idea is that we can sustain ourselves if we go back to these basics.
Back to our roots.
Okay, exactly. You know, it's great to see that, you know, things that my grandparents used to do back then, you know, we're sort of expounding that now to our younger generation, because that's the way we need to live in order for the world, for there to be enough of the world for everyone else out there as well.
Yeah, it is, and it's funny because we have to relabel it with something fancier. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was back then, you know, the old people and our past generations, they put this, what do you call it, like a timber, and they start to take harvest water from rain, right, in front of the house, right, the tempayan, right? And then you clean your leg, your feet before you go up, and then you water your
plants. Everything with that.
They've done it. They just forgot that it was done that way. Too busy catching up with so many things. But I think it's good that we come back and try to look into how.
But, you know, going back to the activities that are lined up as well, you know, throughout the Eco Month, what's been the response so far?
We're doing it for 2 weekends, so last weekend and this coming weekend. As the response has been really, really good. We have a lot more things to offer to the public. Last year we had like probably like 4 or 5 workshops. This year we double up the workshops. We have these young river scientists, how to make your own cleaning agents, and some of the creative stuff for the kids, for the families. And then, of course, we work closely with different social enterprises where they produce different, various creative, innovative products in support of the Sustainable Development Goals. And we also have film screenings, which is kind of like a mini Kuala Lumpur Eco Film Festival that we're having.
Yeah.
So we want to get more people not only to be aware or to participate, but also to take action. And hopefully they will be empowered to take their own steps and, you know, helping the environment their own way.
Speaking about taking action and being empowered, what can our viewers out there or anyone watching or anyone interested really in, you know, living a more, you know, eco-green life, what can they do?
Well, I always say this, from personal experience, we live mainly at home, in the office, right?
Yes.
We spend about 10 hours, 10 hours in the office, we spend a few more hours on the road, and then the balance is at home, or, you know, on the weekends you go out. So if you focus on these two things, or even driving cars, you know, as part of the, you can start at home. What I did, I recycle the office. In our office, we do compost. We try to build our own aquaponic system. We try to reduce whatever we can, make sure we turn off the taps and all that. At home, in the office, it's almost similar, although in the office, we use a lot of papers, right? Printing, so double printing, double side. It's simple stuff. And by car, you can always carpool. Our team members, we normally carpool for meetings, to the office. So we try, you know, there's Uber and Grab, you know, which is very convenient too now. So, and the MRT. Make use of it.
So, you know, all of these little changes that you can make in your life can go a long way towards sustainability. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
It's always eye-opening speaking to you.
Thank you for having me again. Thanks.
You know, I must say, I mean, folks can actually start. The one most simple thing that you can do is actually when you're brushing your teeth, just turn off the tap. It's as simple as that, you know.
You know, it's things that you remember because you were taught in school and you do it when you're younger, but then as you grow older, you kind of forget. And it's good to be reminded every now and then that everything we do really does contribute to the future.
Exactly, you know, like we're just talking about the simple things, but onto something that's not too simple, driverless cars. Sounds very intriguing, right? We're going to go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Haziq Faris from Reka Studios about just that. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.